Welcome to Loving Me Before I Love You with Tammy Nicole, the podcast dedicated to you loving and putting yourself first. Others have come first in your life for years, and you know it's time for that to change. You're about to be empowered to set healthy boundaries, confidently have hard conversations, unapologetically put yourself first, and live the peaceful life you deserve. Remember, self-love is essential, and loving yourself sets the stage for every other love in your life. So get ready to embrace self-love like never before with your host, Coach Tammy Nicole.
Hey, it is Transformation Tuesday over at Loving Me Before I Love You, the podcast where we stop performing, we start healing, and we choose ourselves on purpose. Hi, I am Coach Tammy Nicole. I am a coach who helps women reclaim their voice, their worth, and their power so that they can stand in clarity, confidence, and courage. Today is just me. I am solo dolo over here today, and actually I am quite excited. I was supposed to actually have a guest, but I always say things work out the way that they're supposed to all the time, because sometimes what doesn't actually come together is because something deeper is needed, and we must always be open to adjustment and change. But today we are going to be talking about mom guilt. We just had Mother's Day, and so many of us experience Mother's Day from different perspectives. I know for myself, Mother's Day is always a weird, uncomfortable day. I lost my mom 23 years ago, and this day always feels a little uneasy. Not just because that she's gone, but it's always that, how can I celebrate me, myself being a mom while holding the pain of not having my mom? It's the battle, it's the compartmentalizing of all of those feelings. And so yesterday was a bit uneasy. And I just say, for those of you who had to go through that experience, to understand the pain and the joy of celebrating, not celebrating, the emotions that kind of go in and out. Be in the moment every time, every year, every moment that you are experiencing the celebration of something that's also an experience of loss. Try being in the moment. When we are talking about mom guilt, that guilt can come in multiple different spaces. It's not always the pretty version. And I call mom guilt pretty version is when it's like, oh my God, I feel guilty for buying myself a pair of jeans. Because I'm always just doing for kids, or I'm always doing for others. But I'm really not talking about that surface level. I'm not talking I went out with friends instead of, staying home with the kids. We're talking about the kind that sits in your chest, the kind that whispers like when you're already tired, the kind that makes you like question, am I enough for my children? That level of mom guilt. I think back to when I first experienced mom guilt. And I think the most loudest guilt was when I got a divorce. It was the guilt of saying, I'm breaking up this family, and I did not necessarily want my children to grow up in a broken home with their dad not living in the same space as them. But I also had to choose myself. And I think a lot of times when we choose ourselves, it is a guilt that comes along with it that says, I could have done a different choice. I could have chose differently that would have been more suffice for the kids. Now, the thing that helped me get over that particular mom guilt was that would staying be better for them? Not necessarily, because if I'm going to show them a toxic relationship of arguing and, discord within the space that they're growing up in, it's not necessarily beneficial. So the guilt of not having a two-parent household had to be overcame by the proudness of not giving them toxicity. I rather them have less toxic environments and more happy and whole environment than just being able to say they were in a two-parent household. So being able to overcome that level of mom guilt was very difficult but necessary. Having the other guilts that have come up are things like, we're in the month of May. It is Lupus Awareness Month. I have been diagnosed with lupus since I was 17 years old. And being able to have to not do certain things for these kids when I'm in a flare down, not able to fully function as mom, yeah, the mom guilt comes in. The mom guilts come in when running a business, when trying to navigate entrepreneurship and understand the different sacrifices that show up. The mom guilt comes when you're the only parent doing everything and you have two kids who are active in sports and FMLA. And I'm saying FMLA because you can tell I'm in HR too. And FBLA, the Future Business Leaders of America, when they're doing so many different things and it's just you showing up for them and making decisions like whose game do I attend when they're on the same day and whose activity do you show up for because you want to show up for everything, but you're only one person. So that level of mom guilt also comes into play. But having a support system and having a tribe along with you does make those things a little easier, but it doesn't change that inner feeling, that inner thought of you're not enough. You didn't do enough. You didn't show up the way you wanted to show up. And having mom guilt around those things seems a lot more heavier than just doing something for you. But if I'm honest, these moments, they do matter. They do matter. And no matter how much you do, sometimes it feels like they don't. I always feel like I'm one step behind the version of mom that I desire to be. I always feel like I'm one step, just like, girl, you missed the mark. And I just want to say, the truth is, mom guilt is really not about what you're doing. It's really about what you believe. So it's the story we tell ourselves that says, if we would have chosen better, then my kids would have more. If I rest, I'm neglecting them. If I miss something, I'm failing them. Those beliefs is really what mom guilt rests in, is what it resides in. And I want us to change that. I want us to change our belief system around what being a mom really is. Because when we change that belief system, it will assist us in pulling back the guilt and saying, you know what, I'm doing exactly what I need to do in the moment. It no longer becomes about fault. It no longer becomes about neglect. It no longer comes about choices. It just simply comes about being the mom you desire to be. You're not just mothering your children. You're also trying to redeem yourself through them. And that part is what the guilt rests in. And it's a heavy assignment to have to be a mom. And I think a lot of us need to recognize the heavy load, sit in it, and then just accept it for what it is. You're not a bad mother because your life didn't go as planned. You're not failing because you can't be everywhere at the same time. And you're not robbing your children because you choose yourself in a situation that no longer served you. So sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your children is stop showing them what it looks like to stay where you're unhappy and show them what it's like to just simply live life according to your own terms. Because they're learning from you by watching what you do. It's not about being perfect. It is about knowing your identity. It is about having boundaries. It is about being resilient. And it's about watching you figure it out and still showing up with love. So I want to give you some practical steps that you can take that will help you navigate mom guilt. Some of you may eliminate it altogether, and some of you may have to navigate it on the regular basis. But I want you to stop measuring your motherhood by the moments you miss and measure it by the consistency of your love. Because presence is not just physical, it's emotional. Number 2, I want you to release the responsibility of giving your children a perfect life. Your job is not perfection, it's preparation. You are to prepare them for the life that they're going to live when you're not there 24/7. You're not to make their childhood perfect. Number 3, check your why behind your guilt. Because you truly did something out of alignment. You're holding yourself to an unrealistic standard. Give yourself permission to be human. You are a woman before you are a mother. I actually saw a post during the Mother's Day weekend that said something along the lines of, which if your birthday fell on Mother's Day or Mother's Day weekend, would you want to celebrate Mother's Day or would you want to celebrate your birthday? And the young lady said, I'm celebrating my birthday because I came before I became a mother. The me, the who I am, the she existed before my title of mother. And the she gonna exist forever through all the different titles that I gained. And I appreciated that post so well and so much because it's true. You are you. Being a mother is a title, it's a job. It is not who you are, is what you do. So give yourself permission to be human because you are a woman before you are a mother. Those are the 4 things that I would give you that are practical steps to help you navigate the mom guilt. I also want to speak to women who do not have children. And I want to speak to you because sometimes that guilt of not having children resonates super loud during the Mother's Day weekend. There are women who are listening who feel guilt behind not being a mom. The ones who didn't have the children because they wanted to have a career. And then you're going to have some that have the guilt of not having children because they simply couldn't. I don't want you to feel guilty behind that. I want you to ask God for permission and provision to allow your natural nurturing abilities to be gifted and aligned with individuals that you can mother. You didn't miss out on being a mom. You need to become available to do so if that's your heart's desire. Your nurturing spirit was never limited to simply motherhood. You can pour into lives all around you, and you can love deeply and you can leave a legacy. You can do it through nieces, nephews, godchildren, community, and your purpose. I have always seen that women in general who don't like physically give birth to children or physically adopt children tend to adopt communities, tend to adopt neighborhoods. Look around and see who doesn't have a mom who you can actually mother. Because motherhood is one expression of love, but it's not the only one. I want you to simply embrace every opportunity. The other thing is that I really want you guys to understand that at the end of the day, mom guilt will have you chasing a version of yourself that does not exist. Because there's no perfect mother, there's no perfect life, there's no perfect balance. And the truth is, the kids don't even need perfection. They just simply need you. They need you to be whole. They need you to be honest. They need you to be healing, trying, learning, developing. They don't need you to overgive. They don't need you to shrink. They don't need you to disappear. They don't need you to be overwhelmed. They simply need you to love them from a place that includes loving yourself too. So, if you have mom guilt, if you've experienced mom guilt, if you feel like it shows up at your door way too often, remember the 4 things that you need to do, but most importantly, remember to be you. If you're realizing along the way that you lost yourself trying to be everything for everyone else, I want you to come back home to yourself. I do have a coaching program, but I also have a book called Come Home to Yourself. It's $27. The link is in the bio. Go get it. Learn that loving yourself is way more important than being in a space that you feel is so unrealistic in motherhood. I promise you, you won't have no more guilt-led decisions. There will be no more abandoning yourself for the name of love or parenthood. Remember, self-love is the blueprint. And remember to love yourself so much that the love from others is a bonus. I hope you had an amazing Mother's Day. If you didn't, do something this week that says you are an amazing mom, regardless of the beliefs that you had regarding motherhood. And whatever your beliefs are, if they do not align, change them. It has been amazing Transformation Tuesday over here at Loving Me Before I Love You. Remember, you have to love yourself first. Have a good day.
That's a wrap on another episode of Loving Me Before I Love You. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a second to show your support by subscribing and leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Stay connected with Tammy. Make sure you're following her on Instagram and TikTok at Coach Tammy Nicole. If you like to work with Tammy or have any questions you like her to answer, please head over to www.IamTammyNicole.com. Until next time, always remember to love yourself so much that the love from others is a bonus.